Hey, Hollow Hunters, it's Skylin,
And Michaela.
and welcome back to the Hollow Grimoires podcast.
Today, we are going to be talking about the next 10 chapters of Heartless Hunter.
Mm,
We are going to talk about another true crime story, some more ghost
exciting.
stories, and then we're going to be talking about what our first vlog in October to start out the spooky season will be.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Me too. I may have already done some looking for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I've had ideas of it, but I
Yeah.
haven't done my looking yet.
Yeah.
So,
So, I guess we'll just hop right into what our first vlog is going to be.
yeah.
So, we are going to be buying each other costumes to wear for our Halloween episode from Spirit Halloween. We're going to be
Mm-hmm.
sending them to each other, and then we're going to be doing an unboxing.
Yes. And then I think we'll probably sprinkle some, other spooky things. It's going to be all
Spooky stuff.
spookicified. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
We have
excited.
talked about maybe doing like haunted places across the
Mm-hmm.
states, or maybe some like urban legends across the states, or we
Yes.
could just do both. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if we got time, we can totally do that, I think.
Right? Yeah.
But and then what next? What are we?
Heartless Hunter.
Heartless Hunter. Okay,
Yes.
I stopped at chapter 21. We were supposed to
I did
stop
too.
at chapter 22. Okay.
Yeah,
I
21.
also read a little bit into chapter 21.
I might have also read a little into chapter 21. I finished reading the 10 chapters and I was like, I just want to keep going. And I started reading and I was like, no, no, stop.
But yeah, I stopped and I was like, please just let me read. Please.
Yeah.
There it is. So don't do any spoilers just yet because we'll talk about it in a second.
Yeah.
What was your favorite part about those 10 chapters?
Hmm. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I will say, so like from the first episode, some
Hmm.
like theories that we had of like, was Rune actually able to charm him? That didn't
Yeah.
happen. He was like, nope,
No.
I don't drink. And
No, he's like,
she's like, well, damn, what do I do now?
and then she freaking charmed herself
Drink it? Yes.
and the thing is like the fight that she had of just
That
holding
mental
down.
battle. Yes.
I don't think I would be able to do it, and if I was able to do it, I'd probably struggled really, really bad.
Yeah, me too.
Um, but it was really good, and it was just getting even better and
Yeah.
stuff. So I'm just like, what do you think about Gideon making Rune a dress?
I think, but okay, without like, if I was not to know his ulterior motives, I'd be
Yeah,
like, oh, that's really sweet. But his motives for it were to see if she had any scars,
yeah.
which she
But that's the
didn't because
thing.
she's smart about it. So he has yet to figure out that she's a witch.
Well, and the thing is, though, is he stayed up it all night until his hands
I
were
know.
covered in charcoal and everything,
Yeah.
and it's like, you, you,
Yeah.
sir, you have to have feelings. There's no way
Right?
you don't.
Yeah.
Um, and then ooh, the what is it called? The atmosphere at
Yeah.
the
At the dress
clothing,
shop.
yeah,
Yeah.
at the dress shop. I'm like, come on.
Right?
Yeah, it did note or hint that Alex does like Rune.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
wonder when Rune was falling asleep,
Yeah.
I wonder what Alex said.
Yeah.
I hope he didn't
I don't know.
confess his love.
Undying love for her.
Yeah.
And she's like just out of it.
Mm-hmm. She's like,
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
I don't know.
But no, it's really good and I cannot wait to keep reading.
I know. extremely good. And I think I'll just read like the first line of chapter 21 because that's what we're gonna start reading.
Yeah.
Um, it's getting quote unquote Gideon's point of view and stuff. It's like Ruin Winters has no casting scars, Gideon told Harrow as they climbed the marble steps together.
Yeah.
So he believes that she doesn't have any casting scars, so she
Right.
can't be the moth.
Yeah.
So maybe,
Maybe. I guess we'll
maybe we'll.
find out.
So we're gonna read to chapter 31.
Should we? I feel like we should read a little more.
Okay, let's
So
read.
there's 62 chapters.
Okay,
So if we wanted to, we could do 10 chapters this time and then do like, or no, we could do 20 chapters this time and then 20 chapters next time.
yeah, let's
Okay.
do that. So we'll
Because
go
I'm
to
very
chapter.
eager. I'm very eager to keep reading.
Yeah, it's me too. So we'll go read to chapter 12, not 20,
41.
chapter 41, and then
Yes.
it'll be 62 because we can just do that extra.
Yeah.
We'll just finish it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then
But
I'll have
I'm
to do like the
super excited
review.
to see what's going to happen.
Me too. I'm extremely excited. Okay, what are your hypothesis or what do you think is going to happen in the next 20 chapters?
So, with reading a little bit ahead in 21,
Mm-hmm.
Harrow seems very adamant that Rune is the moth.
Yes, yes.
And I don't think that she's going to let Gideon give up his search just because she didn't have any scars.
No, yeah, I don't think she is either because like when I was reading ahead in to chapter 21, um, Gideon was like, "Oh, that's true," because the moth would
Yeah,
be very like
right.
sneaky and
Yeah,
everything. So, um, I think there's going to be something where Gideon has to get Rune fully unclothed to see if she has those scars. But the thing is like
yeah.
she's gonna be fully unclothed, and then
And she's
there's
still
not
not
gonna
going to
be any
have any
scars. Yeah,
scars. Yeah.
she's not gonna have any. Or do you think maybe Gideon's going to not to like doesn't want to break his brother's heart, and maybe be like, "Hey, Alex, make your move," and then Rune's just like, "No, you're a good friend of mine. I
Yeah,
see
I
you
don't
as a
know.
brother or something." I don't know.
I feel like the story isn't focusing too much on that. There's like hints of it here and there,
Mm-hmm.
but it's more focused on her and Gideon.
Yes, it's
So
100% focused on her and
I
Gideon.
don't know how far it'll go into their stuff.
Yeah, me neither. But I 100% can't wait to read more. I think what's going to happen probably in the next 20 chapters is there was a so I don't know how far you read um or no, that was in the first chapters, but when Rune was like, "Oh, hey, you could after you like drop off people, you can go and like meet me at this party."
Yeah,
So I think Gideon's gonna go and show up.
yeah,
Or is it like a trap? Because he 100% told her like where they're dropping someone off, where
right.
the person that's captured is. So do you think he said that and that was a trick?
Maybe. It's possible. Kind of
Yeah, I
waiting to
think.
see if she'll show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
100%. Because then if she shows up and they're not actually there,
right.
oh, what, Ruin, why are you where I told
Yeah,
you I'm going to be? I thought you were going to be
yeah,
at the party.
right.
Um, I don't know.
I don't know. It could be, but I'm not. I feel like I said last time, I feel like it really is still 50-50
Yeah,
on where it's going to go, how it's going to go.
yeah, me too. Sorry, I'm just writing this theory down.
You're good.
Sweet. All right. What other theories do you have? Or I guess I just said mine.
I don't know.
Me neither.
I don't really have very many.
Mm-mm. I think I'm just like wanting to like read
Just
more.
know, yes,
It's just
I
like
think
tell
that's
me.
it for me. I'm like, I just want to know what's gonna happen. I don't know what's
Mm-hmm.
gonna happen. I don't have any theories. Like, it just feels so 50-50 on how it's gonna go that I don't really
Yes.
have any, like, it doesn't feel like it's going one way versus the other, so I don't really have any theories on where it's going.
Yeah. And it's just like, ugh, I don't know. This book is a really good book. And
It
I have
is.
like, if you don't know, I have a bunch of books, like hard, like actual physical copies, and then I have
Yeah,
my Kindle and
yeah.
everything, which, alrighty. So what is next?
I believe it is our true crime story.
Mm, alrighty, what is this true crime story?
All right, it is the story of the Black Dahlia. Very popular story, so I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
lots of people have already heard it. But when I was looking stuff up, it kept coming up, and I was like, all right, I guess I'll do it. I guess
Yeah.
if that's what you want me to do.
And I think that's actually a really good like true crime after Ed Gein
Yeah,
because I had no clue. At least I
right?
know I've heard of Black Dahlia, so I'm
Yeah,
excited to see and like we can talk about everything from there.
yeah. Also, if you've ever seen American Horror Story, they do the Black Dahlia story on there too.
Oh, I didn't know that. No, I
Yeah.
think I saw Black Dahlia from Sam and Colby,
Mm,
which if you guys don't know, I'm a huge fan of Sam and Colby. I think I've watched every single um like video of theirs.
yeah.
I have a little like explore like flashlight that they had
Yeah.
on my work ID
Mm,
and stuff. So it's hanging there. So everybody knows that I'm a big
yeah.
Explorer fan. So,
Yeah. All right. Into the story. So, 10 a.m., January 15th, 1947. Betty Bersinger, a local housewife, was walking down Norton Avenue in Los Angeles when she saw something disturbing in an empty lot on the street. When she first saw the corpse, Bersinger said that the body was so white that at first she assumed it had to be a mannequin. But when she realized that what she was actually looking at was a severed corpse, she ran to contact the authorities. Can you imagine that? Just walking down the street and all of a sudden you see what at first looks like a freaking mannequin and then you're like,
hmm
oh shit, that's a dead body.
see, like I've never like experienced like, besides like funerals and stuff, like a
Yeah,
dead body like that. I
yeah.
don't know how I would react, but I
I don't
think
know
I'd be
either.
like, oh, why is there this mannequin out there? And then actually
Right?
realizing it's someone dead, I'd be like, I think it would be like, holy crap, or like,
Yeah,
a lot more profanities and stuff. I'm
yeah.
like, call the cops or something, or I'd be
Right?
like, I don't know what to do. I don't want to die. I
Yeah.
don't want to
No, for
die.
real.
So,
Yeah. All right. The body Bersinger found was Elizabeth Short, known as the Black Dahlia. Her body was split in half at the waist, and pieces of her flesh had been cut away from her body. And while she was severely mutilated, there was no blood anywhere, suggesting that the body had been thoroughly cleaned before being positioned at that spot on Norton Avenue. The LAPD identified Elizabeth Short by her fingerprints, and an autopsy was performed on Short's body on January 16th, 1947. Marks on her body suggested the woman had been bound and tortured, and her official cause of death was cerebral hemorrhage and shock. The police sent out a bulletin in hopes of finding more information about the victim. Eventually, some details about Elizabeth Short were uncovered. She moved to Los Angeles in July 1946. She worked as a waitress as she struggled to get acting roles in Hollywood, and she lived in a rented room behind the Florentine Gardens nightclub on Hollywood Boulevard. As the news about Short's murder began to circulate, newspapers started referring to her as the Black Dahlia, mostly due to her striking dyed black hair and the black clothing she wore. The story of the Black Dahlia made headlines for weeks. On January 24, 1947, a suspicious manila envelope addressed to the Los Angeles Examiner and other Los Angeles papers was discovered. The envelope included a letter using cutout words from newspaper clippings that said, here is Dahlia's belongings. Inside the envelope were Short's birth certificate, business cards, photographs, names written on pieces of paper, and an address book. All of the contents of the envelope had been cleaned with gasoline, similar to how Short's body had been cleaned. This led authorities to believe the letter was definitely from Short's killer. Police contacted approximately 75 men from Short's address book, but the majority of the men claimed to have only known Short briefly. Due to the nature of the precise cuts on Short's body, authorities suspected someone in the medical field could have been the killer, and police served a warrant to the USC Medical School, which was located close to where Short's body had been found. But after several interviews and background checks, they were still no closer to solving this case. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's actually insane. It's like it
Yeah.
was like the killer was like, I know everything about
Yeah.
this girl.
Yeah.
Like, guess where I killed her and
Right?
everything.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I guess I might have maybe I'm mixing some stories and stuff, but I thought that she had like her like a smile. Like she
Yes,
like
she did. Yeah.
okay, so I'm not insane.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Although the case went cold, people's fascination with the story had not dissipated. Elizabeth Short's unsolved murder has inspired many books and films, both fiction and nonfiction. The most famous account of Elizabeth Short's murder is The Black Dahlia, a 2008 novel that fictionalizes the details of this fascinating story. This novel is so well researched and so vividly rendered that many readers have said they had to remind themselves that it was fiction and not true crime. In this book, the author, James Ellroy, depicts the details of the Black Dahlia investigation and imagines how the crime could have been solved. In 2006, Ellroy's book was adapted into a noir film directed by Brian De Palma and starring Mia Kirshner as Elizabeth Short. While the case of the Black Dahlia is still unsolved, there are many theories about who could have committed this crime. A large number of people have actually come forward to confess to the crime, but most of these confessions have been proven to be false. Some crime authors have made a link to the Black Dahlia murder and the Cleveland Torso murders, which took place between 1934 and 1938. The murder of Jeanne French in Los Angeles on February 10, 1947, has also been discussed as possibly linked to Short's murder. At the time of the investigation, Leslie Short was considered to be the prime suspect, but he was never brought to trial because of clerical errors. This, along with other details of the case, has led some theorists to believe that the Black Dahlia's murder was never solved because of a police cover-up. After retiring from the LAPD, former police detective Steve Hoodle published a true crime book called Black Dahlia Murder: A Genius for Murder. In it, Hoodle lays out many details of the investigation and presents his own theory. He believes his own father, Dr. George Hoodle, killed the Black Dahlia. While there are numerous theories about what truly happened to Elizabeth Short, the case remains unsolved, and it remains a fascinating true crime story that has inspired many mystery novels and film noir movies in the years since.
That's crazy. Sorry, I
Yeah.
just looked up a picture of Elizabeth Short, and of course it's all black and white, and then they
Yeah.
made like some photos of like, hey, this is what it looked like in color.
Yeah.
She's a very, very pretty woman.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know if this is me, but there's just this one picture of her, and like she just looks so, I don't know, like it gives me a very ominous, like creepy-ish vibe.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if this is the actual picture of like the crime scene and everything, but I definitely see it where her um like I think it's her body being like completely like cut in half.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that just sucks. Like
Yeah.
I can't believe, and it looks like it's right off a pathway too.
Yeah.
Like how did no one see this? Because you said like her body was staged.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know either. Very creepy.
So crazy.
It just sucks though. It's just like, like murderers and people who do that, especially like serial killers and stuff. It's
Yeah.
like it sucks and it's very sad that, that happened to her
Yeah.
or to anybody and,
Yeah.
dang.
Yeah.
I wish the murderer was found and
Yeah.
caught because, you know, she should have been her murderer should have been found.
Yeah.
Because like, just like that one murder that you said it could have been related and everything. So like, I mean, usually serial killers who like stage bodies and do stuff like that specifically
Yeah.
are going to do the same thing and same type over and over again.
Yeah.
As like a, what do you call it? Safekeep. What is that called? A
Mm,
trophy. A trophy.
yeah. Yeah. So just a theory about who killed Elizabeth Short. Um, this says, while there are numerous theories about Short's murder, one of the most highly suspected culprits is Dr. George Hoodle, a gynecologist who had a clinic in LA. So
Oh.
the the father of that detective, right, that was working her
Mhm.
case. Um, he was known to throw parties for Hollywood's rich and famous and was rumored to be dating Short before her death per 48 hours. Hodo was initially labeled a suspect in 1949 after he was arrested for allegedly sexually assaulting his teenage daughter. Although acquitted, his name was brought forth as a potential suspect in the Black Dahlia case. He was listed as one of the few remaining primary suspects when the case was discussed before a grand jury later that year. During that time, authorities wiretapped Hoodle's home and recorded him making jarring statements, seemingly confessing to the 1945 death of his former secretary, Ruth Spaulding, as well as suspicious comments about Short's murder. Spaulding died of a drug overdose. Supposing I did kill the Black Dahlia, they couldn't prove it now. They can't talk to my secretary anymore because she's dead, Hoodle said in the recordings. Killed her. Maybe I did kill my secretary. Hoddle eventually relocated to the Philippines, living there for the next 4 decades. Much of the information about his status as a suspect was not publicly known until his son Steve, a former LAPD detective and private investigator, began looking into his father's involvement in the murder. When Hoddle died in 1999, Steve found a photo in his father's belongings that appeared to be Short. While it has remained unconfirmed if the photo is actually Short, it began Steve's inquiry into her murder. In his years of investigation, Steve has come across other pieces of evidence tying his father to the murder, including 5 witnesses in newspapers describing him as Short's boyfriend. He also had formal training as a surgeon at the University of California, San Francisco.
Ah,
Yep. On top of that, Steve and a handwriting expert discovered eerie similarities between his father's writing and the letters sent to the Examiner in 1947. He also found receipts for bags of cement purchased by his father just days before Short's death, the same brand as an empty bag of cement found near her corpse. Then, in 2018, Steve told a newspaper that he had uncovered a 70-year-old letter from a former police informant who had written that Short was killed by a man named G.H. Although the LAPD looked into Steve's research, they chose not to pursue his leads. He believes his father was friendly with officers and they were protecting him. Still, some officials believed that he may have cracked the case. I told Steve if his father was still alive, I would have filed murder charges against him. LA Deputy District Attorney Steve Kay told People. His evidence was very persuasive.
Yeah, extremely persuasive. If you were dating
Mm-hmm.
48 hours before, so dating 2 days before,
Yep.
you had eerily
Multiple
like,
people, multiple people witnessed, like, came forward saying that he was her boyfriend. The cement
mm-hmm,
bags, same brand, that were found near her, have the
yeah,
medical experience. He was a
mm-hmm,
gynecologist.
yeah,
I've also heard theories that, like, he performed, like, illegal abortions at his
mm,
at his home, and that she came to his home for one of them. I don't know if those are actual theories. I think that's what the American Horror Story goes into.
oh,
So
mm-hmm,
I think I think it was based off of theories that's why she was there. There's so many theories about her murder. Like, we could go on for hours about just that.
Yeah. I think I would believe, or like I'd be like, yeah, that's 100% him. Just
Yeah,
because the recording be like, maybe I did kill my secretary. Like,
yeah,
and then things is like, I don't know if, you know, like what jobs and stuff, but like I know like most jobs that you apply for, you need like your social security number, you need like
yeah,
that personal information so they can do a background check.
yeah,
Maybe like they, and it was back, back then and stuff. I don't know
yeah.
how popular it was for females to have like driver's license and stuff like that.
Right.
So maybe that's just like the way she had identified, like, hey, here's my birth
Yeah,
certificate to prove that
yeah,
I'm this age and everything.
right.
Wow. I
Yeah.
wish I could go back and just see. And like also, what was was the cement, like why was there an empty cement bag? Because they
Probably
didn't
was
do
gonna
anything
probably was gonna bury her and then put cement over it or something. I think it was near a like construction site or something. I could be wrong about that, but I think it was near like a construction site. So he was gonna like bury her in there, but I
mm,
don't think he had like the time.
yeah, maybe it was like he chopped her up,
Yeah,
or like split her in half and everything.
yeah,
Of course, drained her of blood
yeah.
and everything. Because she had no blood, right?
No,
Like she wasn't bleeding at all. Yeah, so
yeah,
like drained her of blood,
yeah,
and he was like planning to like dig her a grave, put the cement over it or
yep,
something. I don't know.
yeah,
It's creepy.
yeah,
Alrighty, so I don't know if this story that I have is a ghost story or if it's just like a scary story. I haven't
yeah.
like actually skimmed through it, but this story is by Snoo Hamster 3006. It says, I have seen enough things that I no longer get quote unquote scared, but I will share three things. The most recent was within the last 5.5 months, so this was posted 6 months ago, so about a year ago now.
Yeah.
A friend of 20 plus years passed away last September. He was a heavy smoker and collected magazines. A few weeks after he moved on, my home would smell like wet cigarette butts in the ashtray and boxed books. This went on for about a week. I wasn't the only one who could smell it. I drove to visit my grandmother, whose house is notoriously haunted.
Hmm.
Everyone has seen or heard something after my mother passed away. As my grandmother and I were talking in the living room, I saw this thing, which I dismissed as an eye, fatigue from driving several hours.
Right.
Floating down the hallway towards the living room, it was transparent as a jellyfish and was the size of a standard can of paint. I watched it slowly move towards us and ignored it until it started darting in and out of the entryway into the kitchen. At that point, I got up briskly and walked outside. Leaving my grandmother in mid-sentence, she followed me outside and I told her what happened. She said there was nothing in the house that could hurt me, to which I said, but it can make a person hurt themselves. That's weird.
Yeah.
Like, okay, let me say, oh yeah, yes, I have, okay, where did it go? Like, okay, I told her what happened. She said nothing in the house, that could hurt me, to which that person said, but it can make a person hurt themselves.
Yeah.
That's weird. Why would
Right.
you say that?
Yeah.
Um, Continuing on, it says, yes, I have a mouth on me. Eventually, we went back inside, but I sat in a different chair so that I couldn't look down the hallway. A year before, a year before that, my daughter, who was a little over 2 years old, and I went to visit. As we were leaving, I asked if she had a nice time, and she said, yes, but who was the other lady? Their
Mm-mm.
mom, their
Absolutely not.
mom.
Absolutely not.
Oh, that's crazy. And it says, I tried getting a description from her, but could tell my voice tell in my voice something was wrong and told me that she didn't want to talk about it. I tried again and I said, I don't want to talk about it. We drove in silence until she fell asleep in her car seat. I called my grandmother after we had gotten home and we talked about it for a while. Okay, a fourth thing. A relative passed away last year and I stayed 3 days at the house. Slept in the living room. The first night something kept pulling on the bedding. This went on for a while and stopped once I ignored it.
Mm-mm.
I think this person's like an empath
Yeah.
because they've experienced, like when their friend passed away, they kept smelling
Yeah.
wet cigarette butts. They like in box books. They, saw that weird size of the paint can. I think that's like an orb. I'll just call that an
Yeah.
orb. They saw that orb, and then their daughter, which
Yeah.
children are always known to
Yeah.
be like, tuned into that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, that's weird.
Yeah. That's
Hmm.
mm-mm.
Yeah, I don't think I would if it was that dramatic and I remembered it, I don't think I would do something like that. Like
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be in that space.
Absolutely not. All right. My first story is from Kenneron.
Kenneron, okay.
Kenneron. It says, I always believed my old childhood home was haunted, as me, my mom, my dad, my sister, and my aunt have all had experiences there. Those are just the ones I explicitly know of. There's likely more people who've experienced things. My grandfather worked his ass off to build the home and get everything set up, and we were inclined to believe he kept watch over us regularly after his tragic early passing. None of his grandchildren ever got the chance to meet him, however, according to my mom. I had seen him sitting on his old wooden stereo that spanned the length of our dining room wall when I was a toddler. I don't remember that experience because of how young I was. I asked her, "Who is that man here?" And she responded with, "What man?" And I walked over to him, acted as if I was patting his leg, and said, "It's okay, I see you." If I recall correctly, I think I even pointed him out in a picture as the person I saw. There were several other, mostly minor instances that weren't too difficult to rationalize that occurred to all of us, but I'll share the spookiest thing that happened to me during my middle school years. One night I kept hearing creaks, cracks, and knocks near my bedroom door and in the hallway just beyond it. My bed was positioned where I couldn't see directly into the hallway, and my door had to remain open to supply heat to the rest of the house, as the vent in my room worked better than any of the others. These noises occasionally happened for small stretches some nights, and I don't know exactly how to describe their frequency, but I will say that they always seemed deliberate and relatively intelligent. Like whatever was making the noises was acutely aware of if I was paying attention to it or not. The noises would usually die down when I actively listened to or looked for them, and if I outright ignored them, they'd usually stop after a bit or I'd just fall asleep in spite of them, which was admittedly rare because this spooked me a lot as a kid. Yeah, I don't blame you. It would spook me too.
Yeah, like especially if it's like, oh, I'm paying attention, or like you're saying, like, oh, I 100% thought, it's a smart entity. Like,
Yeah,
I'd be like, please, I just want to sleep. Like, you can bug
right?
me. Like, you can do your thing. I'll do mine. Leave
Yeah,
me alone.
no, for
I don't,
real.
I don't mind if you're here or not. Like,
Yeah,
just stop freaking me out, please.
right. This particular night, however, they were a bit more aggressive, almost like there was a certain excitement to them. They continued for a few hours in the middle of the night while everyone else was asleep. I'd say roughly from 10 or 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. is when this took place. I couldn't sleep at all, and every time I started to drift off, the noises became much heavier, so I figured I'd read a book to make me as sleepy as possible. I grabbed a Bible and read the most boring passages I could find. I was to the point where I was drifting off with the overhead light on, and me on my side with my head propped up in my hand, like I was trying to do a sexy pose or something, just without bringing my knee up. And every single time I began to doze, I'd be awoken by these noises. I finally had enough and decided I'd sleep in my mom's room if she'd let me. It always felt like her room was afforded a certain sense of privacy, further lending to our theory of it being my grandfather. This is where things went from I can maybe rationalize this to this is freaking insane. I closed the book, set it on my nightstand, got up, and began walking to the door when I started hearing crinkling behind me. Us kids had ruined a mattress or two in the past by spilling stuff on them, so the plastic wrapping was left on our current ones for easier cleanup and to avoid having to buy new ones in such cases. Now sometimes there would absolutely be a little crinkling heard after getting up off of it, but this time it was quite a bit louder and lasted longer. I got to my door, realized it was still crinkling, and my curiosity got the better of me. I turned around and I could see the material moving on the side of the mattress. There was an impression in it moving from the lower end moving from the lower end up towards the headboard like someone was brushing up against it by walking by. I immediately noped the hell out of there, and as I was speed walking, I didn't run because I didn't want to wake everyone else up. Down the hallway, I thought I heard footsteps behind me. I
I'd be
got to
like,
my
sorry, I'd be like,
yeah.
Neff, Grandpa, go
I
to
probably
bed,
would have
please.
sprinted out there. Screw waking it,
I
screw not wanting to wake everybody else up. I would have been out of there so fast.
I would have been like, Grandpa, no, thank you.
Right?
Like, and the thing is, just like I can also see it, like, yes, being a younger kid, like, especially in middle school and stuff, like, just
Right.
stuff like that, like, creeping you out.
Yeah.
But like, I think if it was me and everything, like, it just gives off like curious grandpa vibes. Like,
Yeah.
what are you reading there?
Right?
Like, I'm just checking in on you and
Yeah.
stuff. Uh, but yeah, that is creepy. That's really
Yeah.
creepy.
I got to my mom's room at the other end of the house, woke her up, and asked, "Can I sleep in here tonight?" She asked, "Why? What's wrong?" And I stammered, saying, "I don't know. There's something out there." She said, "Well, do you have your pillow? You're not taking mine." I didn't, so I went back to get one of mine. No, I would have been like, "Mom, screw this. We're sharing a
Uh-uh.
pillow."
I would have been like, I will sleep with no pillow. I don't
Right?
care.
When I approached the hallway, the footsteps started up again, directly behind me this time. Again, curiosity got to me. I've always been fascinated by the paranormal, but part of me was also hoping with every fiber of my being that I could find a rational explanation. I stopped halfway down the hallway and listened, thinking maybe it's just the echo of my own footsteps or something, even though I'd never once heard an echo in that house. As soon as I stopped, I heard another two steps behind me that sounded like it was getting closer to me. I stayed still for a split second, but when I realized that the second step I heard after I stopped was maybe a foot away from me, and the first one was further away, meaning I was being followed, I stopped worrying about not waking anyone else up. I sprinted to my bed, snatched up a pillow, and sprinted back to my mom's room, hearing extra footsteps in the hallway, no longer following me, up until I got close to her door. I fell asleep probably close to a half an hour later, and the next day I tried to just let it go. Not necessarily forget about it, but just let it not get to me. After all, I never explicitly felt threatened by a presence in the house. Been spooked a few times, but that was the closest it ever felt like it was specifically messing with me. I didn't realize until after getting back home from school the next afternoon and hearing my mom on the phone that it was my grandma's birthday. Something that I learned years later as an adult and living in a different house was that my grandfather always loved celebrating and making a big deal of my grandma's birthday. Maybe he was just celebrating that particular night, or in his own way, preparing for her birthday the next day. But certain things began to make a lot of sense in hindsight, at least as much as they can for something paranormal, as around that time of year was when I would tend to have more of my unexplained experiences. Anyway, thanks to anyone who took the time to read this.
Oh, that just warms my heart a little bit, okay? Like, oh, oh, that's so cute, but also kind of scary and creepy.
Right?
I'm glad they were like, no, I'm doing it, but like, it just like
Right.
it gives me like grandpa vibes, like, like I don't know what their names were, but like, we gotta, I'm getting this ready for Rose. It's her birthday, and
Right,
especially
yeah.
like, especially when he was, I don't know if it's a he or she, but like when they're really young, like patting them on the knee and being like, I can
Yeah.
see you. It's a
Yeah.
100% their grandpa.
Yeah.
No, but this one is kind of long. Um, so I'll kind of read it fast.
Okay.
This one is from Zealous Ideal I 836. It says, I'll give you a 2-for-1. I moved around a lot as a kid. We were the kind of family that would have boxes that would always go unopened and undisturbed between moves. My dad was a good guy, but had issues with authority, so he usually had issues keeping a stable job for more than a year or so. When the lease was up, we'd move closer to his new job. Anyways, during one of those moves, my dad found a steal next to his job. It was an old 2-bed, 1-bath house with a detached garage. I want to say it was a good, $300 a month for rent in 2003. Apparently, it was a rough part of town. The landlord told us, I won't go into the specifics, but I am required to tell us that somebody had passed away in the house within the last 5 years. My dad saw a great deal and shrugged it off. Gives me murder vibes.
Right.
We moved in soon after, and things started very quickly. There were noises in the house all the time. It was like we had another person living there. I would generally be, it would generally be the noises that you'd expect with other people around. Things like drawers opening and closing, doors swinging around on their own, water turning on in the bathroom and then back off. Nothing malicious was happening, so we just lived with it. Another weird quirk about the house was that the front door had a keyhole on both sides, so you could not leave the locked house unless you had the keys.
So like how
Huh.
my back door was when we first moved here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. Um, where am I? Oh yeah, unless you had the keys. You can probably guess where this is going, but not a week or so after we moved in, we lost the keys. Oh, wow. So they had to get new ones?
Right.
Or just keep it unlocked?
Yeah.
Boxes still littered the house, and we were still in the unpacking hell mode. So my dad, obviously stressed from the whole situation, started getting loud about the keys. He accused me of stealing them. He was cursing and being a general pain. Then, out of nowhere, we hear the keys hit the floor in the living room right in front of the couch, right into the floor. So
Absolutely
it had to
not.
have been on the couch. Like, it's
Right.
like, here you go.
Yeah. I've
Here's
had
your
them the
keys,
whole
yeah.
time.
Tee hee hee. Uh, he picks them up, tries to rationalize what just happened, says fuck it, and leaves the house for work. Over the next few months, the stupid keys are the center of the activity. My dad would put them in a glass bowl on top of the tube TV. So this is probably a while, unless I just have like a tube TV.
Right.
Um, on top of the tube TV every day after work, and somehow they would be moved by the morning. My favorite spot by far was when he found them in a sealed box of pots and pans that were needed to be unpacked. It had those little handle holes on the side of the box, and it's like just someone shoved them into the hole out of spite. We all got a good laugh out of that one. Okay, so I think it's like, hey, you're going to be like rude to your kids and blame something like that they
Right.
didn't do. I'm gonna
Yeah.
just start fucking with you.
Yeah.
Um, right now you're probably like, okay, what's spine chilling about some noises and some keys moving around? Well, here you go. The worst thing that happened fairly frequently was the stomping. Most nights around 2 to 3 a.m., there would be a very heavy footsteps pacing in the hallway outside our bedrooms. I confirmed with my dad when I was older that yes, it kind of freaked him out too. That's that's like my Hitman story.
Yeah.
We had been living in this place for about 8 months at this point, and I was probably around 8 years old. I heard the stomping one night and just couldn't take it. I screamed out into the hallway, "Stop stomping around. To I need sleep too, god damn it." 15 seconds of silence was abruptly interrupted by what sounded like a bull running full speed to my room.
Absolutely
Hell,
not.
look at that. Oh my God. Oh, okay. Then my door had three very aggressive slamming knocks on one after another.
Mm-mm.
That is, I would be like, stop stopping, please.
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
of course you're gonna be frustrated. It was so loud, my dad woke up and came to check on me. My stomach started to turn, and I suddenly felt like I had to use the toilet. I was frozen in bed when I heard my dad call out to me, "You okay, buddy?" From his bedroom, I mustered up the courage to head out to the hallway. As I got up, I could tell something wasn't right. I was shaking like a leaf, and my bowels were trying to evaluate while I was walking. I ran as fast as I could to the toilet, but it did not help. There was a trail from about halfway
Oh,
between my bedroom and the toilet, and my poor dad, worried about my safety, um, followed me into the bathroom to figure out what the hell just happened. I explained everything, crying on the toilet, making a mess of myself and the house. I was embarrassed and terrified. After this, my dad told me, "If you ever feel uncomfortable, you can come sleep in my room. Nothing can bug you when I'm around." That's actually
no.
sweet.
Right?
But that
I
poor
know.
kid, like be nice to the kid. Like you're
Right?
stomping around, okay?
Yeah.
Ah, the final straw came a week later. My dad had been dating a girl for over a year, and she had been staying with us more and more. One of the nights she stayed over, they had a really minor fight right before bed. I think it was about cleaning or chores. Anyways, they both went to bed grumpy about it. Right around that magic 2 to 3 a.m. mark, his girlfriend got yanked out of bed by one of her ankles and got dragged out of the bedroom and down the hallway. No
What the fuck?
way. Absolutely not. My ass would be moving out.
Yeah. What the
By
fuck?
her, oh my God. By her account, she woke up after she was on the floor and felt something pulling her leg, and it took her a while to realize exactly what was happening. She shrieked, and whatever it was let go. She ran back into the bedroom and turned the lights on, and explained the whole thing to my dad. He sent me off to an aunt's house and stayed in the house alone for a few months while looking for another place to go. Yeah, I would look for another
Good.
place to go
Yeah.
too. Figured it would be safer without me there. During the packing and moving out of the house, my dad had some friends swing by to keep his company while he packed. Almost everyone who came by to help mentioned that they saw a small white dog. What is it with these quote unquote small
Right?
white dogs?
Yeah.
Um, Walking around right when they entered the house. Yeah, that place was haunted AF. I still think about it from time to time. Wonder if the people who live there now deal with the same stuff or if it's calmed down. And then it
That
says, but
is
yeah. And it says bonus extra DLC story. My dad's girlfriend had brought a yoga ball into the house, and as a rambunctious 8-year-old, I wanted to play with it all the time. She tells me I can play with it, but I had to be careful, so we lightly toes it back and forth down the hallway, and after a minute or two, I toss a ball and it freezes mid-air before it makes it to her and comes right back to me. She was
absolutely
mortified.
not.
I was too young to realize what happened, and she didn't want to freak me out. Her boyfriend's 8-year-old son, so this is a boy.
Yeah.
Um, so she quickly just said she didn't want to play with it anymore, and we went and did something else.
Absolutely not.
I'm sorry,
No,
that hallway is
thank you.
scary. Getting
Yeah.
dragged out of bed after having an argument,
Yes.
like running towards this poor child's bed and then having that uneasy feeling and like
Yeah,
not
like
being able
banging
to,
on the door, like, bro, shit himself. Like,
Yeah, bro sure did shit himself. Like, that's like how you can actually tell you're fucking terrified if you actually like have like a bowel movement and like shit in
yeah,
your pants.
yeah,
Wow, that's creepy.
that's insane.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have one last story from Reddit, and then my husband sent me a story for us to read.
Ooh, okay.
All right. So the last Reddit story is from Intelligent Cell 2341. Late, but here goes. We have these family friends, a couple and their two daughters. To put this into context, they are a very down-to-earth family. She works for the council, he runs his own business, etc. They are not superstitious people or anything like that. They couldn't be more of the opposite. We've known them for like 30 years. They've lived in this house in our town that dates back to the late 19th century. Looks like a lovely place. You'd never think anything of it. Years ago, we had them over for dinner, and somehow during the evening they started joking about their haunted house. I can't remember the context of the conversation, but they didn't bring it up intentionally. Of course, our reaction was, WTF? So they started talking. Turns out all members of the family have experienced paranormal or strange events over the years. All of them were very convincing, very firm that what they experienced actually happened. To this day, I have no reason not to believe them. The gist of it is that they were 100% convinced their house was haunted by an old woman. Here's a list of incidents they described in order of creepiness. 1. Both parents said on different occasions they would be out in the garden and clearly hear a female voice calling them by their name. They would return inside the house only to find that no one had actually called them. This happened to both parents on multiple occasions. 2. Daughter number 1 said she was lying in bed one night dozing off when she felt a hand gently brush her hair across her face. She opened her eyes and was terrified. No one was in the room with her. 3. Daughter number 2 composes her own music on the piano. One day she was playing a melody when she suddenly heard a female voice directly over her shoulder humming the melody she had just played. Again, she was terrified and turned around. No one was there. Years ago, they had friends over for an evening, another family with kids. At the end of the evening, they were saying goodbye to this family in the driveway when the 5-year-old daughter of this family asked them, "Who is the old lady in the house?" There was no old lady there that evening.
Wow.
Right?
Who's
5.
the old lady that was talking
Right?
to?
5. Maybe 2 years ago, we visited them at the house. Out of curiosity, I brought up the topic again. They were very casual in their responses, casual but firm. I asked about the ghost, and both the husband and the wife confirmed that they had actually seen this woman. The husband described being in the kitchen when he saw this old woman dressed in turn-of-the-century clothing come floating through the wall directly in front of him and then disappear. The wife described a situation where she had picked fresh flowers from the garden and put them in a vase on the dining room table. She went into the kitchen, and as she returned, she saw this old woman, again dressed in turn-of-the-century clothing, leaning over the flowers as if she was smelling them, only to disappear immediately afterwards. Further context: the wife told me she did some research through council records and found a report of a horse and cart accident that occurred just outside of their house at the end of the 19th century. A woman was critically injured. I don't think she had more details, but given it would have been the only house there at the time, she felt like they may have taken this woman into their house where she then succumbed to her injuries. Again, I cannot stress how normal these people are, which to me gives their story a lot of credibility. The whole family was on board with the story. They are not superstitious people and have nothing to gain by making this up.
It's crazy. I was just looking up turn of the century attire, and
Yeah,
if I were to see like something like that, I'd know it's a ghost, but I think it would be very like chilling,
yeah,
um, in a way, because like it, it all depends on what they're wearing and like their um status level of like if they were rich or not.
right,
There's just this one, I mean, of course it's probably newer, but there's this one outfit that just kind of makes me think that like this is what they meant by turn of the century.
yeah,
But um that's kind of spooky. Kind of
right.
spooky. Uh,
All right, on to the last story, which is from my husband. Um, Before we get into it, he calls his
Mm,
grandparents Granny and Papa, and his sister's name is Riley, just
okay.
because all those are in there. So it was at Granny and Papa's old house, and I was somewhere in the 13 to 16 years old range. Anyway, my parents were staying in the guest room, and Riley was in there with them. So I was sleeping on the couch out in the living room. Well, for some reason, I woke up at 3 a.m., give or take a couple of minutes, but pretty close to exactly 3. And I was like wide awake now. Not like startled or waking up from a bad dream. Just 1 minute I was asleep, and the next I was just awake, but fully awake and aware of my surroundings. After looking at the clock and realizing I had more time to sleep, I tried to fall back asleep. But I couldn't, so I just stared up at the ceiling for a couple of minutes until I heard a creak coming from the dining room. So Granny had an old wooden table set that had chairs that creaked every time you sat in them or moved them. And the creak that I heard came from one of those chairs. It was a very distinct sound. My eyes darted open, or my eyes darted to the open room that was connected to the living room via open doorway. It was pitch black in there, and the only light I had was the clock and the nightlight my grandparents had in their hallway for people who needed to use the restroom during the night. Both light sources were too far and too dim to show anything in that room. So I just sat there in silence for about what felt like 5 minutes, staring at the open doorway before feeling confident enough to try to fall back asleep. As soon as I did, the creak came back. It started really slow and got faster, like someone was lightly rocking it. At this point, my eyes are back open and locked. I'm petrified in place and fearing the worst, but then it stops and it doesn't start up again. And eventually, I guess I fell back asleep. The next day, I asked around if anybody had been in the dining room, and everyone said that they weren't. Granny told me that the icebox in the kitchen makes really funky noises sometimes, and that relaxed me for a little bit. Until I heard the icebox go off and do its noisy thing. It 100% wasn't what I heard. So I went in the dining room and sat in one of the chairs and started lightly rocking it, and sure enough, it's what I heard. Still don't have an explanation. Nobody that was there sleepwalks, no lights were on in there, and it was literally pitch black. There were no animals in the house, and nothing weird like that had happened before or after that incident, at least at that house.
Hmm,
Yeah.
that's weird.
So he's talked about it before, and he has
Hmm.
talked, maybe it was like sleep paralysis or something,
I don't
because of
know.
how he felt like he couldn't move.
Mm,
So I don't know, but
maybe. I don't
yeah,
know. It's a good story.
yeah,
I think if I were to, and this is just me, if I were to be like in that situation, I keep hearing stuff, I would just be like, eyes closed. It's not
yeah,
there. I'm gonna go to sleep. Like
right,
everything around me is protected.
yeah,
I'm protected. Like
yeah,
I'm full of light. Blah 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 blah
yeah,
blah. And just like I'm fine. I'm fine.
right,
Um, but I think it's probably just because of just experiencing that stuff when I was young.
yeah,
And it's not like I was just experiencing stuff at, my house. I was experiencing stuff at my grandma's house, experiencing stuff at my cousin's house.
yeah,
Had a weird, eerie feeling, even though the house was built from scratch. But at my aunt's house, um, I don't know if it was just because like she lives in the woods and stuff. So just like
yeah,
at night, you hear the animals, and
right.
there's probably
All the
raccoons or
noises,
something.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
that. But dang. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Put in the comments. How about you pick? You pick an emoji.
I picked it last time. I said a ghost emoji.
Fine, I'll pick an emoji. Ooh, okay. In this one, put a like the yoga lady emoji and
Yeah,
stuff. Put the yoga lady emoji in the comments
yeah.
below if you guys have made it this far. And then comment what story you think gave you chills
Or goosebumps.
or goosebumps. Chills,
Yeah.
goosebumps. All right.
All right.
Thank you
Well, we
guys
will
so
see you
much for
guys,
watching.
and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.